right? Now you might have observed one thing, that the whole project is planned and we didn't touch any date. We didn't enter any date and the project is planned. Complete project plan in front of us. We have managed the absence of the resources. We have managed the cost resources, all other resources, planned everything, but we haven't touched any date. And that is what it is. You should not touch at any point of time your dates. You should not enter them at all. No touching to these two columns. Never. In MS Project, it's a crime to enter these dates. Most of the people make this mistake. They enter these dates by hand and you just mess up complete project plan. What happens if we enter these dates? What will happen? See this, what will happen? If I enter a date here, suppose anywhere, let's say high level design. Suppose it is not, it is start instead of 14th, it is starting on 15th. Okay, and instead of changing this lag by 1, reducing this lead, I make a manual entry. Say June 17th, right? 15th. It immediately give a smart tag here. Will keep the constraint to start no earlier than, undo the constraint, or choose different options to schedule starts. You know what happened? A constraint has come over here. Start no earlier than. A constraint has been applied on this, start no earlier than. You see, start no earlier than constraint on June 17th, 2013. That means because you have entered this date, this task cannot be scheduled before this date, even if the predecessor finishes early. Even if predecessor finishes early, this will not go back. I show you. Let me revert this. It is like this. I make this 40 hours. Let's say make it 40 hours. This duration is reduced. Therefore, this date have come back to 13, and therefore the next is started on 11th, right? Because there is a 2 days lead here. So just after 1 day it is started. So if it is reduced, this come back and start, and this is rescheduled basically. Now if I put a date here, 70, this constraint is applied. If I make it 40 hours, you see nothing has happened. It has not moved. It is still there because of this constraint. Because of this constraint, and therefore it's a problem. Okay, what happens exactly? There are many constraints in this. In MS Project, there are 3 types of constraints. One is flexible, second are semi-flexible, and third type of constraints are inflexible. Okay, so flexible, semi-flexible, inflexible. Flexible means there is no constraint as such. So like as soon as possible, as late as possible are flexible. So as your project plan changes, depending upon the predecessor finishes early or late, the successor will get rescheduled. In the semi-flexible, what happens that one side of the movement get restricted. Like in this case, start no earlier than. Start no earlier than means this task can, if predecessor finishes early, this task will not rescheduled at early date. But if predecessor finishes late, it will be moved to a later date. In the same case, start no later than will have the reverse impact. Now inflexible is something like must start and or must finish on. That means irrespective of predecessor finishes early or late, this task will stick to the same date. These are the various constraints and you can see them in the advanced tab. As soon as possible, as late as possible, start no earlier than, finish no earlier than, start no later than, finish no later than, must start on and must finish on. So these are basically the constraint which we should not apply. When we do a forward planning, as soon as possible constraint get applied, which is a flexible one, which is okay because one of them will always be there. If we do a backward planning, as late as possible get applied. Okay, but this is also flexible, so absolutely fine. Now what happens if these tasks are if these constraints get applied? Suppose this is task A and this is task B, right? A, B. Now suppose this is of say 5 days and this is of 4 days. So from this date, from this place to this place, if this is our project, then basically this is of 9 days, right? The project plan is of 9 days, right? Now there is a dependency among this. B will start after A. Now if there is a as soon as possible or as late as possible, then if it finishes in 4th day, this will get scheduled here. But if it finishes on 6th day, this will move up. So in the first case, it will become 8 days. In the second case, it will become 10 days. But if we suppose we apply here, start no earlier than. Start no earlier than. I will say here 6th day, right? Because 5th is the 5th day, right? So what happens? Start no earlier than. If it is finishes early here, this will still be here because there is a constraint applied to this. Therefore, it will not get rescheduled, it will stay here. And this, though we can finish the project in 8 days, our project plan will continue showing us 9 days. It means if we have a float in our project, we don't know about it. On the other side, if it is finishes later, but then it will move here, then this will move here, move ahead. Okay, then it will move like this, and this will become 10 days. Now, if the constraint is start no later than sixth day. Actually, this is on a date basically, but here I cannot define the date. I don't know the date. So what happens if it is finishes early? This will move back, right? This will come over here, and your this things will come as 8 days, right? It will be fine. But if this is not the case, this finishes here. Because it is no start no later than, this will continue be here, right? This is finishing here. Okay. Now your project plan will finish in 10 days. But your project plan will continue showing it 9 days, which is even more dangerous. You have a negative slack in your project, negative float in your project. Some time which is lost is not known to us. Though our project will now finish in 10 days, it will continue showing us 9 days, which is more dangerous. We will commit 9 days while the project will finish in 10 days. Therefore, any type of constraint is going to cause a problem. But if you have put in here must finish or must start on 6th day, then on either of the side, if predecessor finishes early or later, you're going to have either negative or positive float. And that is a problem, because even if you have to make changes, you have to go and manually change things, right? If I want to change here, if suppose it get delayed, I have to change, then I have to, now in this case I have to change it manually and reach here that it should start on 40. Now if there are 25 or 30 or 100 tasks, then you will end up doing only this. So if you touch dates, or if you apply any type of constraint other than flexible constraint, two things you are doing. You are running a danger of creating a negative and positive float without, you may not even know about them. And second, you are increasing the maintenance of this scheduler. You are increasing your work. So the simple thing is that you should not use these constraints any point of time until and unless there is a reason to start a specific task on a specific date. Normally in a project activities which are part of the project normal project flow, none of those activities normally happen that way. If that happen, it will be an exception. You take this as exception and take care of those things, those exceptions, but avoid this. It is equal, constraints in WMS projects are equal to a go-to statement in a programming language. It is there but not supposed to be used. Only in unavoidable conditions, or there are circumstances where dates are, something has to happen on a specific date. Normally those events are isolated events. Those events are not in the flow. They are isolated events. For example, you want to arrange a meeting. You want to arrange a meeting. A meeting will happen on a particular day, but nothing is depending on that meeting as such. Meeting will either happen or not happen. But the workflow of the project will continue. So in that case, you can apply those constraints. We will see them later. The question arises that if I cannot apply these constraints, how to manage my deadlines? How I track my deadlines? What should I do so that I should not miss my deadlines if I do not put must finish on constraint? For managing deadlines, if you implement must finish on constraint, you are running a great danger. It will not track your deadline, but it will create a lot of problems, and most likely you will miss your deadline because you will not be knowing about positive and negative floats. So what do you do? Let's take an example here that design approval is an important task for us, right? On Friday, a review has to happen of design, and people are flying from the different location to review the design. If you do not match this date, the lot of losses, people will fly, lot of time loss, lot of rescheduling will happen because of that. And the impact is high. So we should track this, that 28th of June should be delivered. It should deliver. So we have to track this. What do you do in this case? You come over here, you double click on this, you go to the advanced tab, you see the constraint type here. Don't use these constraint type. Just above this there is a feature called deadline. Come over here and put 28th of June here. You see there is a deadline sign has come over here. Deadline, design approved. Now what is the advantage of this? The advantage of this is that if now I make it 40 hours here, the flexibility of the schedule is not taken away, right? And if it takes more time, instead of 80 hours, it takes 100 hours, your deadline will not be met and it will give you a caution sign here. The task goes past its deadline. Now this looks, if this happened here, 100 days, 100 hours. As soon as on the first task you get delayed, you come to know immediately that your deadline is in danger. And you also come to know what is the probable project end date. It is not, nothing is being stopped, flexibility is maintained, but your deadline is in danger, that is highlighted here. So you have enough time from here to here to manage your resources, add, delete, do some parallelism or some manage everything here to see that your deadline should be managed. And that's the beauty of deadline. It doesn't take away any flexibility, but it wants you, as soon as it sees that the activity has moved past the deadline. So never use constraints. Never. Keep in mind, never use constraint. Never use must finish on. Whenever there is a deadline, use deadline feature. It is very easy to remember. Right? Okay, and let's say, suppose this has happened and you want that this high level design should finish early. Now let's take an action that how we can manage these deadlines. We decided that because this high level design is of 10 days, this has the maximum potential to gain this time of 2.5 days delay. I think it's a 2.5 days delay, right? What we can do here is, let's ask people to come on weekend. Let's ask people to come on weekend. Now, if we ask people to come on weekend, will we able to meet our deadline? We are not sure. I'm not sure if that will happen or not happen. So I can plan people on weekend. But how I can plan people on weekend? Right now, if you see, if you go to the task calendar, you see here, the people are not planned on weekends. How many weekends are here? We have 2 weekends occurring, right? So can we recover this delay? Let's try it out. So how we do it? We try to plan this on weekends. For that, what we do, we create a calendar and we make Saturday and Sunday as working in that calendar, and we apply that calendar on this task because we want to manage only this task, and then that calendar will call task calendar. Okay, so let's see. Go to the project, say change working time, create a new calendar. Copy of standard calendar. To remember easily, I will name it as weekend working calendar, and I will make a copy of the standard calendar because I want to copy all the holidays here. Okay, now we have a weekend working calendar, holidays, etc. It is just a copy of the weekend calendar. What I will do here, I will make Saturday and Sunday as normal working day. Saturday and Sunday as normal working day. So I will go to the work week, I select default, go to the detail, select Sunday and Saturday, check, select this set days to specific working time, and I make them as normal working okay, this is normal working day, and I say okay. So my all 7 days are working except holidays. They all are alike. This calendar does not have any weekend holidays. I say okay, and what I will do, I will apply this calendar here. How I can apply this calendar here? I will double click on this. You see in the advanced tab there is a called calendar. On the advanced tab there is something called calendar here. All the calendars are listed here. All non-resource calendar. Resource calendar do not come over here. They cannot be applied on the task. I select weekend working calendar and say okay. This calendar get applied, but I do not see any difference. Why? Let's see. Still people are not allocated on weekends. The reason is that though this task calendar which is applied on the task have priority over the project calendar, but it does not have priority over resource calendar. In a project, resource calendar have the highest priority, task calendar have the next priority, and project calendar, that is a default calendar, has the lowest priority. By default, every task follow the project calendar. If you apply any other calendar, that overrule the default calendar, but it may not be able to overrule the resource calendar. So what should I do? Should I go to the resources calendar and make the changes? I can do that, but in case I change the resources, then I would be having a problem. I have to make a lot of changes, not only here but also on those places where the resources are allocated. Now, if resources are allocated to more than one task at the same time, will they come for the other task also? No. So basically, if I change the resource calendar, it would be a problem, because I'm not interested in changing resource calendar. I'm trying to manage only this task. Whomsoever working on this task should come on weekends. That's what it is. So I will do some of the line of project work telling people, but what I will do here, I do not have many options here. You see that when it was none, this schedule ignore resource calendar was disabled. When you select weekend calendar, this is enabled, and you can check this. If you check this, it means your scheduling will ignore the resource calendar. So resource calendars are ignored. As soon as you do this task is scheduled on weekends, and you complete the task on Saturday itself, not on Friday but before Monday. Let's see if we are meeting the deadline or not. We are still not, you see, because it has to finish on Friday, not on Monday. We have to do something else somewhere else. Maybe I can go here and assign resources. I say, let's make architect is anyway maximum available is 50%, so we cannot make this change. Maybe if you are not able to manage it, we have to inform well in advance, when couple of weeks in advance, so that people can change their schedule. We say we will not be able to deliver this on Friday, we will deliver it on Monday. Let's keep this review on Monday instead of Friday. Or if you are delivering on Monday and the review is on Friday and review is on Monday, then you are still good. Nothing to be done. Right?